Okay, we imported some maps. What I want to do is play a little bit with the coloring. Let's go open our base colors. We'll go to our color, and we have a high color, which apply on high and low. So let's modify them. And I'll just go with basic, something more desert look, kind of. Okay, we'll go right here to the red, maybe. It's a very simple apply to our colors. How low? Maybe just a little bit more contrast on this one. And we can also add roughness and contrast. Okay, so this is our basic color, kind of sandy, maybe deserty look. Now on a flow, we have our gray, and a flow I want to take maybe deposits more of the iron, so we'll go to more red one. And it's happened because I'm living in Utah, so we have a lot of interesting landscapes, and one was happening with mountains. The water will wash out iron, and as the deposits get more reddish, because it's actually actinisation or whatever they call it happening. So we'll go right there, we'll add a little bit more reddish, kind of yellowish, maybe too much. Let's go bring more red to this point and kind of make a little bit visible to us. Okay, right here you can see on a flow, we apply it, or maybe too much, but we can tweak with those colors a little bit later. Okay, we have it also altitude and slope constraint. I don't really care at this moment here, because this is already map provided with this, so it should work just fine. Next, let's go with a deposit. And if you know deposit, if you remember, it was teeny tiny right here on the bottom. And the deposit, actually, I want to make it darker. Okay. Notice at this time, I don't touch any luminosity or displacement if we want to do, or even smoothing to this. So we'll just leave it those as default. You can go inside and start tweaking with those settings, but for this we need to be much closer to our surface so we can observe or try to match. Again, this is very rough to stop right now. And on the where, and where was on top, where actually I want to create a little bit brighter. So it's almost like salt kind of wearing out. Okay. So at this point we have it kind of set up our map. Okay, what if you want to add rocks? For example, if I have it like water bed right there on the bottom. Okay, so if we're creating lake, and for example, river will go right here on the bottom of our map. And nice looking when water going through the rocks. So if I want to add rocks right on the bottom, I want to add them with the flow, if you remember, because our flow is actually going right on the bottom. So this way, let's do that. And for the render, we'll create and we'll have to disconnect so it does not take some of our render time. Okay, so for this one, we'll go create layer and displacement. And I want to create a fake stone. So we'll just put it right here. And you notice we have already kind of like created almost, let's go a little bit closer to our preview. Okay, maybe even closer, somewhere around right here. So for example, you can see right, we have those rocks already kind of modifying us, our effect. You know what, let's do this way. Let's take these fake rocks and actually move them in slightly different place. So I'll disconnect them and I'll put them between the flow and deposits, because I want them kind of grouped together right there by the flow. Notice we have also mask shader, and I'm going to use the same mask shader that I'm using for the flow. So now rocks it will apply only to this area right here. If you can see it, where is our flow applied? So if we look, it's right in this area. It's where the rocks will work, which is actually what I wanted. Okay, and just to validate this, let's go ahead and modify it a little bit. So let's go to put it 500, so we can see very rough stone scale. You can in areas. Okay, right here you can see where the stones applied, a little bit too much. Okay, let's go pop up stone density. Maybe it's too much. Let's go with 100. And right area you can see where the distribution happened on those rocks. So I just want to be sure they're in right places. Scale maybe, it's still be too big. Let's go to the 10. And increase slightly. So overall, if you're not sure where's distribution, we can increase, and you can see right here exactly in the flow area. It's why I want it. Because if you want in different areas, remember you can always invert your mask and create, for example, rocks not on a flow kind of areas. Okay, but in my case, I want to create them right with the waterbed. Okay, so we add 10, it's working right place. I'm going down to 1, maybe take stone density a little bit lower. Okay, now let's go in the shape. Because it will be on a waterbed, I want kind of effect, pancake effect, so I want them a little bit more flatter. Okay, reduce tallness, and let's go to pop up maybe stone density. Okay, next let's go to the color, and here we have a little bit variation. So I want to actually select and create a little bit more dirty look on the rocks. So just create this color and add a little bit variations. And let's just work a little bit with density so they don't get too much. Okay, we can come way closer. Okay, and you can see we have a nice rocks applied. We always can go to preview. And then we have a nice position on the bed. Again, how I said before, I don't necessarily like it that is applied on top of all places. So for this one, actually, I want to control, and if you remember before, we can control our altitude, and we also can control the how it is well distributed. Okay, and we'll look on the other tools how we can more control all the properties additional for the rocks, for the other effects. But again, for the render, we can also just take and skip our stones for now. So it will be a little bit less load on the render, so we don't need to worry about those displacements. And we can start working a little bit on animations. And as animation done, we'll see what we want to add details, and it will be reason why we want to work on some terrain details after animation is done.